So switching isn't always easy. Switching from Windows to Android or from Android to Windows or iOS or vice versa, it's not always easy because there will be always some problems that you will encounter. And these are my problems that I encountered while trying to switch from Windows to Android. I didn't switch yet. My Lumia 640 XL, it's an old phone from 2014 with mediocre specs, and of course comparing it to newer phones, it's a no-brainer because the phone has really low specs, but it still runs the latest Windows 10. It still runs fine, but how Microsoft doesn't show any interest in the future. Kinda everyone tries to switch, maybe not switch, but tries to use another OS. In fact, my girlfriend used Windows Phone since Windows Phone 7.0 or 7.5. She had an HTC HD7, then moved to Windows Phone 8 to a Lumia 520, then upgraded to a Lumia 535, then to a Lumia 640 XL, and now she wanted a new device. She couldn't buy a new device with Windows, and she was always using my Android for some apps, which some apps weren't available on Windows. So I asked her, why you don't buy an Android phone, because you want to use the specific apps and they are not available for Windows. And she was always like, oh, I don't like Android, I like the lifestyles and so on. Yeah, of course, that's fine, until we bought the Huawei Mate S, not HTC but Huawei, because on the last video I said always HTC and not Huawei. So we bought two Huawei's Mate S, one for me and one for her. And since she started using this Huawei, she saw a lot of different stuff compared to Windows. More features, more apps, of course, Facebook for example, or even WhatsApp. They load faster, they don't crash like Facebook for example. So she saw a lot of improvements, and I asked her, will you switch back to Windows? She said, yeah, I will switch back to Windows, but there is actually a lot of less app on Windows, and Windows as well has less features. But she said as well that it's not easy to switch to Android, and I found myself some of problems she had, I have as well. And one of those problems is double tap to wake. On Android, this Mate S actually has an option to turn double tap to wake, but it doesn't have the feature to double tap to shut down, so you have always to press the power button to turn it off. She saw that problem, I saw it myself as well, because most of the Lumias has double tap to wake and double tap on the navigation bar to shut down. But it's not like a big of a deal because the Mate S has a fingerprint scanner, and I find myself, for example, using the fingerprint scanner faster than double tap to wake, but then I can't really double tap to turn it off, so I have to press the button. Of course, this doesn't apply to all the Androids because some Androids might have the double tap to wake and double tap to shut down, some will not have that features. It depends from device to device. Another big problem while trying to switch is the lifestyles, of course. Android doesn't have lifestyles and doesn't show like the notifications on an icon, so you don't really know what the notification will be all about, only by of course sliding the notification and watching what's the notification all about, but you can't really have the lifestyles. I really like the lifestyles, but of course not all the lifestyles on Windows, not all of them they work, of course. Some show information, some doesn't show anything. Another problem is the browser. I know that Chrome on Windows and on Android can synchronize bookmarks between both of them, but all my bookmarks are on Microsoft Edge on my Windows because I use Microsoft Edge as my main browser and Opera as my secondary. I don't really like Chrome, it's all a preference, I don't really hate Chrome or anything like that. One problem that I found myself is when trying to reach for a bookmark that I have saved on my phone, on my PC, I can't really go to that bookmark on my Android because all my bookmarks are on Microsoft Edge. Of course, I can export those bookmarks to Opera and then synchronize with Opera, but that it will not be always like synchronizing. I will have always to export my bookmarks or to change the main browser on desktop as well. But there is also some positive aspects while using Android. It's all about the apps. Today, most of people use a lot of apps and don't use the browser so much. And the apps on Android are of course better optimized for the OS, because on Windows or they are made poorly or they are ported poorly, or they are made and not updated frequently. While on Android, most of the apps are updated and they work pretty well. For example, Facebook is one big of a problem on Windows, because on Windows how it was ported, it takes a lot of time to load, and sometimes then it will crash. And the last problem that I find with Android, it's not really a problem, but it's there. For example, I close Facebook or any other app that I use. I go into the app manager and close all the apps, and then still I have, like, after a few minutes I get a notification that Facebook or another app is using intensive battery in the background. Then I go to check background, there is no app in the background. So that's like, what the fuck just happened there? And also, like, once in a week or once in a month, you kind of have to go and clean all the cache. It's not mandatory, but if you don't clean all the cache and all that stuff, then you'll run out of memory. Not really run out of memory, but for example, this device has 3 GB of RAM, and if I will not do that cleanup, then I will be with like 500 MB free from 3 GB. So you kind of have always to close all the applications, go and clean the cache, manage the battery as well, because the battery, I found myself, the battery is actually not so good on Android compared to Windows. But yeah, these are some problems that I found while trying to switch. I didn't switch yet. I have my SIM card on my Lumia 640 XL, but of course the Huawei Mate S, it's a much better device. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Oh, and I almost forgot, synchronizing contacts from Outlook to Android, it's a no-no. Because Outlook will allow you to synchronize your contacts with Android, but it will not allow you to edit them. So you'll have to export your contacts from Outlook to Gmail or to your internal memory or to your SD card. So contacts is a big pain in the ass.